Hi, I'm Durrant, Boomi Practice Lead for Adaptiv. We've had exclusive access to Boomi Companion for the last few months, and I'm excited to go through it with you, show you some tips and tricks, help you get up to speed, share our findings on this exciting new capability.
So what we're going to be doing today is building a process to connect to Salesforce, do some mapping to a simplified JSON representation, and then display that in the UI for validation so we can confirm it's all working. So before we start, we'll have a quick look at the repository, how we can configure our environment to interact with Boomi Companion. So we start with an environment file. This is an example one. I won't share my actual environment file with the secrets, but you can see we just have basic Boomi connectivity details, username, API token, account environment, etc. in here. We also have on disk our Salesforce contact query file. So what this is, this allows us to reference existing artifacts. I don't want to create a new Salesforce connection. I want to reuse the one that's already in our environment. So I've just got a markdown file here that says exactly what we have here and our demo connector. We also want to reuse the existing operation and the existing profile. So that's all ready. Now we can start with Codex here. Obviously, this works equally well with with Claude, but I'm using Codex. So start with this prompt, and we're just going to pull these Salesforce query resources down locally so that they're all ready for us to use. So look at the markdown file that we previously examined, pull those locally, and then we'll be ready to actually build our processes. And see that the Boomi integration skill of Boomi Companion uses a folder active development. It's where it stores the local representation of the Boomi artifacts. So once it's down, we'll have a look at what that looks like for our Salesforce artifacts. We can see here that Codex is finished pulling the Salesforce artifacts to the local active development folder. It's pulled down the demo connection, the get context operation, and the XML profile used by the operation. So we can indeed come back to Visual Studio Code. We can see we now have an active development folder, and we've got our three files as expected: connection, operation, and profile. We're now ready to start on our build of our process. So just a prompt in here. So we're going to create a folder called companion demo, and as we said, build a simple process that runs the existing query, makes contact fields into a compact JSON response profile, and includes notify steps for verification. So we're not actually specifying a profile, we're letting Codex work out what that profile should be, and we'll modify that down the road if we need to. We've also saying we'll push the components as they become ready, so let's push them up to the Boomi platform. And then once it's done, summarize the component IDs and emphasize we want to reuse the existing Salesforce connection and contact query that we just created. So we're part of the way through now. We can see that Codex has created the companion demo folder, and it's now creating our JSON profile. So if we have a look at Boomi and we refresh, we should see indeed we can come in here and we have our companion demo folder. So this is where all of the artifacts that Codex is creating will be being created. In fact, we've just got the JSON profile pushed. So if we refresh again, you can see we now have our companion compact response JSON profile that we asked for. So a quick look, and ID, first name, last name, email, photo, title, and account ID. So a compact representation of a Salesforce contact there. All right, we've now got our map. And we show our mapped fields there. We can see indeed that we've got our classic Salesforce contact here, mapped everything across. So this is our artifact that we are reusing for Salesforce representation there, and our compact assessment there. You can now see processes being created. So if we do one last refresh, we can now see we have our process as requested. We've got some notify shapes that just give us verification as we go. We've got our get contacts, which is reusing our existing Salesforce query, mapping that to the representation, doing it there. And here we can see on disk, we've built those. Go to Visual Studio Code, and indeed we can now see we have maps, processes, and profiles. So all representing what we have in Boomi itself. Now, obviously, we've got our test process now. I could run that in the debugger, but what we want to do here is we want to get Codex to validate this for us. Because ideally, when we're doing this end-to-end, we'll get Codex to do all of these steps autonomously. So to show that Codex can deploy the process we just built, execute it, and let us know if it succeeded. So we're a couple of minutes in now, and we can see that Salesforce has decided to make this demo a little more complex than we needed, in that we've hit a server unavailable error. But we can see here that Codex knows that these can be transient errors. It's going to try again, and hopefully we'll get a success on the second execution, just showing that it's robust enough and tolerant of these small errors. These coding agents are smart enough to be flexible in these kind of environments. We can see here that our retry has succeeded, so we're just getting the execution logs, but we've got past our server unavailable, which is what we wanted to see. And indeed here we can see in our summary that it's downloaded the process logs and it worked fine. And if we go back to Boomi, we can refresh, and we can see our first error, exactly as reported by Codex. We got server unavailable. And then on our retry execution, we have success. You can see that we successfully got our demo data from Salesforce. This is all Salesforce's demo environment data. No real people are involved here, but we can see this is a standard Salesforce contact as requested. And have a look at our execution log here. We can see all of our notify shapes. And indeed, we're mapping that data. So we just looked at our create scenario. Now let's look at how we would update a process. So if we want to take our process we've built, and maybe we want to create a display name in our JSON representation, maybe we want that display name to be a concatenation of contact name and mailing city. So we can ask Codex to build that. Put our prompt in. So we want to update the name and the destination profile to add a display name field. Should be from contact name and mailing city. And We'll just do this. We'll compare the map in this step. We'll just say execute it again and confirm successful execution. So you can see the Codex has identified my clumsy wording there, and it's correctly worked out that it should only touch the profile and the map. It doesn't need to touch the rest. And we can see it's building this here. So in this case, it's using a groovy map to do the concatenation. It does have the capability to use the inbuilt map functions as well, but in this case, it's selected for groovy. All right, we're a bit further on. We can see the map and the profile are pushed, and we can see Codex understands that the deployed process is referencing the snapshotted versions, and it knows it needs to redeploy the process before it executes again, even though the process itself hasn't been changed. So it's got a good understanding of the Boomi package deployment model and how that impacts the changes that it's making here. So we can see Codex is now finished. It's updated, it's verified successfully. We can see it's pushed again, and execution was successful. If we go back to Boomi, you can see that. Fresh, we've got our new run. And if we look our verification, we've now got our display name. So where the city is not present, we've just got the name. Where the city is present, we've got the name and the city there. So that's all coming through as expected. So one of the things that I think is really exciting about Boomi Companion is that it's open source and it's extensible. So we've been playing around with this here at Adaptiv, and one of my colleagues has done some great work on extending it to allow for comparing various aspects of the Boomi platform, comparing packages, comparing processes, maps. So I'm going to show you a bit of that here now. So we've got two versions of our process now with the changes we've just made to the map and the profile. So I'm going to ask Codex to do this comparison. And this is going to leverage some of the extensions that we have built to Boomi Companion. So because Boomi Companion it's just markdown files, it's just agent skills, it's really easy to get in there and work on and adjust and really make it meet your requirements. You can layer on your best practices, the ways you want to work. So we're going to see that a bit here today. All right, we can see here Codex has identified that the comparison tool does package diffs, but we've only got package names in the output. So it's actually gone away, queried the deployment package metadata to find the correct ID so it can do the package to package diff. It's resolved those deployments, found the prior package and the current package, and it's just building our report now. In fact, it's actually built our HTML report. You can have a look at our summary here. So we've got our summary here, and indeed, as we expect, 2 components changed, 4 unchanged. Added the field display name, and we've built our map to add that in. And indeed, if we have a look at our package comparison here, we can increase our zoom. We can see that we've built our comparison and we've got our profile change. We can see we've got the display name present there. And in our map, we can see that we're building our display name. We've added this function in here. So we can also see that unknown true corresponds to the map function container metadata added within the function configuration. So you see we're still working on our package comparison tool. That's probably something that we can tidy up, but it's been really great for giving us the ability to extend the Boomi Companion tooling to meet our requirements and really iterate on these. So this is a quick look at the actual Boomi Companion code itself and the Boomi integration skills. So this is actually our Adaptiv fork of this that we've been working on and enhancing. You'll see that we're building our own Agent Garden and Data Hub skills, but we'll look at the integration skills here today. So have a look. This is our Claude skill here, so describing what it is. It's a framework for AI coding agents to build integration processes programmatically. So we've just seen all of that here. And this is just a very extensive collection of markdown files, describing to the coding agent exactly how to be interacting with the Boomi platform. So we can see we've got descriptions of dozens of Boomi processes or process components here. So we have a look at the disk v2 connection, for example. So it gives the overview of how this all works, an example of the structure, how you should use it. So we can see a Salesforce connector component that we were just looking at. So you can see here, has to be created through the Boomi GUI, so we can't create them here. But this is how Codex was able to understand all of the intricacies of building with Boomi, because we've got all of these details on the various components. But there's a lot more than that. We've got all of Boomi's knowledge on best practices, how to deal with Boomi, how to succeed writing Boomi integration. So all of the things that you'd hope for if you're running through with a new developer, they're all codified here and passed on to the coding agents to make sure that the coding agents are not only delivering solutions, they're delivering solutions that match Boomi's own best practices for developing in the Boomi environment. We've got integration patterns for APIs, for event streams, for multi-target distribution, all of these different patterns and practices. We've got a platform reference for how the Boomi platform works. And we talk about merging, branching and merging, problem solving, all of these really extensive documentation to make sure the coding agent has the best possible understanding of how it should be interacting with the Boomi platform. We've got platform entities, so giving a bit more detail on the individual parts of the platform and how the agents can interact with them. So you can see talking about these scripts. So when it comes to actually interacting with the Boomi platform, Boomi have got a comprehensive set of scripts that are included in this, and that models the actual interactions with the platform. So we've got all of these scripts here. So we have a look at, let's look at creating a component. So shell script, building all of these, calling Boomi API. So you don't need to worry about building all of these. They're all present. All of these operations are present and able to be leveraged as part of this. So we've been blown away with how comprehensive the Boomi integration skill is. It's far and away one of the best structured, best built skills that I've come across with coding agents, and I'm really excited to see how Boomi will continue to iterate and build out on this. So yeah, it's a really exciting time to be a Boomi developer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future holds.